What is up, my dudes? It is 12 PM on the dot on a Friday afternoon, and I've got a bit more Dark Souls information for you guys. A lot of gameplay footage has been surfacing just lately, so I'm going to try not to go over some of the stuff I've already been over in previous videos, but this information comes from IGN, so it's in their format, so some of it might be repeats of stuff you already know. So be sure to check out all of the video, because some of the stuff I definitely did not already know. Right then, just a few little bits ahead of time. Soul items are now colored blue. They've added motion blur. Some of the foliage now moves. The new death animation is pretty sweet. Same with the new reflections and textures, and you can also scale the HUDs. Now, none of those graphical changes are going to appeal to PC players, but console players will probably like it, especially players playing it on the Switch. You can then play the game on the go. So that is something at least. Now, onto the main bulk of the video. So the maximum number of players is 6. We already knew that, but what we didn't know is that the dried finger would be required for 6 players in the same way as it is in Dark Souls 3. And in this regard, they have moved it from the Painted World of Ariamis to the Undeadburg Merchant, so you can get it pretty early on. In its place in the Painted World is now a Twin Humanities. I mean, I'm okay with that. It could have put something a bit more, valuable there, because the dried finger is pretty, it's not a one-to-one trade for a Twin Humanities, in my opinion. But anyway, on the subject of matchmaking, password matchmaking is again implemented, but like I said before in a previous video, but now it syncs the player's level. It's just like in Dark Souls 3, so if you're over leveled, you'll get scaled down, which is fantastic. So there's no more like super twinks running around, which is going to be good. Hopefully they've included the weapon scaling system, but that hasn't been mentioned in this, so don't cross your fingers for that. Okay, Phantoms will be able to use Estus during PvP, just like in Dark Souls 3. And like in Dark Souls 3, the number of flasks will be halved. And again, similar to Dark Souls 3, when you defeat a Phantom, whether it be an invader defeating a white, or a white defeating a red, or a host defeating a red, you will get some Estus back. But unlike Dark Souls 3, no other healing items will be available during PvP. So I'm looking at you, Divine Blessings, I'm looking at you, Mushrooms, I'm looking at you, Humanities. So hopefully the Humanity is going to function a little bit more like an Ember, and just as a co-op functionality rather than a healing item. So, global matchmaking is again an option that can be turned on and off like in Dark Souls 3. One of the most controversial changes they've made is saying that players can no longer summon phantoms consecutively while being invaded. So, what this says to me is, if your phantom dies, you can't resummon them, okay? So, your phantom dies, you can't resummon them because you would be summoning them consecutively, assuming. But can you summon another phantom? And what's the use of the word consecutively here? Are they implying one after the other? So if your phantom dies and then a red invades, can you then summon them, since it went phantom red, so not phantom, you know what I mean? It's not consecutive. So we don't know, it's inconclusive right now. Players can prevent red phantoms from seeing their white sign soapstone. Now, I'm not sure what they actually mean by this. There's some confusion over this in Dark Souls 3, and the closest assumption I can come up is that when you have your option set to unrestricted, that a red phantom can see your sign in the host's world, like can see it, so we'll know where the host is going to stand, so you can turn that option on or off. I'm not sure, or if an invader has previously invaded you and killed you, and you've put your white sign down to help someone, it prevents them from seeing your sign because they've already killed you. Again, it's inconclusive and unclear. Now, a lot of this is going to be information you've already heard, such as multiple items can be used at once, but there are some more new features being added. So a new bonfire has been placed in the catacombs, located near Vamos in the Undead Blacksmith. Covenants can be switched at bonfires, so we saw this at the gameplay footage, the option at least, when they sat at bonfires. I'm unsure if Covenant penalties are still in play like Dark Souls 1, or if you can freely swap sin free like Dark Souls 3. That's going to take some further confirmation. Another useful touch is items will not go automatically into a quick slot when you pick them up. So when you pick up an item, it won't go straight into the first available quick slot, which is good, because I hate that in games. There's nothing worse than having your first few quick slots filled up with useless items, and then when you actually pick up something you need, you actually have to go and switch it over. I'd just rather it be a manual thing. Speaking of manual things, D-pad navigation has been brought over from Dark Souls 3. So this is something I was sorely missing, and it's basically the ability to hold down on the D-pad to go to your first selected item, or hold up on the D-pad to go to your first selected spell. So that is good. What else we got? Finally, they've confirmed some changes to the arena. So 3 versus 3 and 6-player undead matches have been added. Arena battles can be now arranged via password, and they have randomized the respawn points. So that should really make a world of difference and bring the PvP area right up to the kind of current meta of Dark Souls 3's style of matchmaking. I think all the changes that have been implemented here have been fantastic. That's all I have for now. If anything else pops up in the meantime, I will be sure to let you guys know. But until then, don't forget, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.